Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Virgo Festival. The full moon will occur on Friday morning here in the United States. And we're holding this webinar today. And then tomorrow there will be an interview with Maria Cristina Amaral and Ricardo Giorgini from Brazil, talking about different aspects of the work that they're doing in Brazil, as well as esoteric psychology, including esoteric astrology. So I hope that you can join us then. But for today, we come together to discuss a few of the key points related to this great sign of Virgo and its importance in our world at this time. So let's begin with a moment of silence to link up with each other and with all the other individuals and groups throughout the world who are also working at this time. I am a point of light within a greater light. I am a strand of loving energy within the stream of love divine. I am a point of sacrificial fire, focused within the fiery will of God, and thus I stand. I am a way by which men may achieve. I am a source of strength, enabling them to stand. I am a beam of light, shining upon their way, and thus I stand. And standing thus, revolve, and tread this way, the ways of men, and know the ways of God, and thus I stand. And let's begin with a brief visualization exercise. The energies of Virgo are very related to cultivating the inner ability to withdraw ourselves from outer forms and to focus within. And we're told that by practicing visualization, we cultivate the inner beauty. And that's what this visualization is intended to enhance. It's related to our service work and using creative imagination to foster and strengthen our service work so that we on the outer planes can become better able to create those forms through which the inner light can transmit itself more powerfully. So this was given to one of the disciples in the Tibetans group. He had a group of 25 or so disciples at any one time that he was working with. And this disciple happens to have been Foster Bailey, the wife of Alice Bailey. The husband of Alice Bailey. And he had a difficulty in visualizing. And so the Tibetan gave him this brief visualization to do each day to help foster that part of his equipment, which was somewhat lacking. So he said he had to begin with a brief alignment, aligning all the personality forces with the energy of the personality, focusing them in the mind. So lifting up the physical etheric, the emotional, and the mental bodies, the three aspects of the personality, and focusing them within the mind. Then aligning the personality that's focused in the mind with the soul, bringing the mind into direct relationship with the soul. Now alignment between the soul and the brain, dropping the personality and all its forces out of your consciousness altogether, and relating soul and brain by an act of the will. Now swing back again into the mind, and while focused there, proceed with the following visualization. I would like you to visualize your entire work and program. See each phase of your work as a lotus of living beauty, connected with all the other phases by lines of fiery energy, thus bringing all parts of it into one whole. All the different phases of your work form a great unity of light and love, expressing through the will to good. So visualize these lotuses, the different aspects of your work, all connected one to the other by lines of fiery energy. As we close, the Tibetan asks us to go forward with courage, hope, and joy, plus understanding. Train those who work with you with painstaking care, for not much depends upon them. Remember always that you do not work alone. So now just a few thoughts about the sign under consideration, Virgo, the mother. We know that in many instances the earth is the ultimate mother. The earth is our mother. And if we can cultivate that attitude in our daily lives, we can do much to mitigate the fear which surrounds these days on our planet when we're transiting into a new age and the old forms are falling apart. And this generates a tremendous amount of fear and uncertainty about the future. But if we come to view our lives and what's occurring on our planet from a more long-term and broader perspective, we know that all is well. The earth is there as this great life which enfolds all of us in its bosom, and that we are ultimately have nothing to fear. Not to say that the transition period is not difficult, but if we do cultivate this macrocosmic perspective, which esoteric astrology always urges upon us, um, we do know that our Earth is undergoing a tremendous period of planetary transformation, said to be the greatest period in planetary history, and that we're moving slowly and are on course towards the creation of this subjective synthesis, which will lead us into the category of a sacred planet. Because as we know, the Earth is not yet found in that category, but we're told on the inner planes already we've made that transition, and it's now just a matter of precipitating that sacredness onto the outer planes. And there is a sense, therefore, and it's not just a sense, it is a reality that we're going through a period of planetary kundalini rising. Many people who are sensitive sense the incredible stimulation of this period, which is principally felt within our mental bodies, our brain cells, but it certainly has ramifications in the astral and in the physical etheric body as well. So it's a tremendous time of stimulation, and therefore we all are asked to take care, to be cautious, particularly during the full and new moon periods when the stimulation is more intense. And so while we are encouraged to come together at this time and to join with our brothers and sisters throughout the world, we do so most safely as we remember that and work decidedly as a group to contact, hold, and distribute spiritual energy. Of course, this Kundalini, planetary Kundalini experience is fostered very much by the Shambhala impacts of the last 60 years or so, and we certainly can probably expect another Kundalini experience in the year 2025. And so one of my theories about the importance of 2012, apart from the festival week, is that it stands at the midpoint between these two planetary Kundalini experiences of the 2000 impact from Shambhala and then the subsequent 2025 impact. So 2012 is the midpoint and a very strong pressure point between these two points. I just thought I would share a few thoughts from the Tibetan related to some of the larger macrocosmic perspectives that, as I said, are conferred by esoteric astrology. And if you've ever taken the time to read the introductory pages of that book, you will see that the fundamental keynote which the Tibetan gives for our ability to understand esoteric astrology is to reflect upon this idea that space is an entity, and that through the ethers of space are transmitted all of the energies which flow into our planetary life through the rays, the constellations, and through the planets, and then into our planetary life through the great Kumaras, the great beings before the throne of God who stand within Shambhala, the seven Kumaras, each one representative of one of the seven rays. So the Tibetan gives us a scientific outline of the means by which the energies are transmitted during each month of the different waxing and waning of the zodiacal signs. Each of these signs is overshadowed by a ray energy. And so, as I said, through the ethers of space, these great cosmic energies known as the seven rays, which are great colors we could understand them by, or great notes of music, which carry certain qualities into our system. Each zodiacal sign is primarily the transmitter of one or two of these ray energies. And in the case of Virgo, the paramount energy which is conveyed is that of the second ray, the ray of love, wisdom. So we understand, therefore, the importance of Virgo in relationship to our solar system as a whole, and particularly to our planet, because we know our solar system is a second ray solar system. We're related. The teachings of esoteric astrology state that we are related. Our solar system is related with 6 other solar systems, forming a network of 7, which are each one transmitter of one of the particular ray energies. And so our system, our solar system, is a transmitter, as I said, of second ray energy. And our planet Earth is intimately related to this goal of our solar system, which is to unfold the love aspect, because our planet at a soul level, we're told, is governed by this second ray. So we're have a very close relationship to the solar logos because of this alignment of this second ray energy, and also to the planet Jupiter, which also is the sacred planet along the lines of the second ray. And Venus also has a strong second ray influence. So again, the Earth is not alone in its attempts to transmute its harshness, transmute its materialism, its separativeness, and its selfishness into those higher aspects of consciousness, which will enable us to make the grade and find ourselves as a much better vehicle in centuries to come for the transmission of this energy of love. But we're working there. We're working along that line. And this is, I think, a beautiful, succinct quote, which tells us of the task of the initiate. And there are many initiates in our world working, some on the forefront of human consciousness and some behind the scenes. So this is our task, and it relates very much to esoteric astrology. The initiate is responsive to planetary, systemic, and certain cosmic influences, and becomes, if I might so express it, a lens through which the many lights, which are energy itself, can stream and thus be focused upon our planet. So when we talk about planetary, systemic, and certain cosmic influences, we can see that in this regard, planetary influences meaning that the initiate is responsive to the etheric web of our planet, to the planetary centers, not only the physical plane centers of New York, London, Geneva, Darjeeling, and Tokyo, but also to the other centers, the planetary head center, Shambhala, planetary heart center, hierarchy, the planetary ajna center, humanity, and in some cases we're told the planetary throat center is represented by the animal kingdom. And then the other kingdoms are expressing themselves through the lower planetary centers. The systemic centers are the planets themselves. So the initiate begins as he or she works in concert with the group, um, begins at these high points of the full moon and new moon to sense a resonance with the planetary centers, particularly the sacred planets, but also perhaps in alignment with the group, becomes able to respond to the non-sacred planets and help in the transmutation of those energies. And the Tibetan then says we are also gradually, the initiate becomes responsive to cosmic influences such as the energy of the constellations, the energies of the other solar systems, the 7 solar systems of which we are a part, and then eventually to the 3 great overshadowing constellations of the Great Bear, Sirius, and the Pleiades. So then, as a group, the initiates form a lens, as we're told here, through which the many lights, which are energy itself, can stream and thus be focused upon our planet. So we begin to pierce through the veils, no longer as limited in our perceptions as we work to free ourselves from the glamour primarily which holds us in thrall. And we all can do that through applying ourselves to our meditative practices and coming together at these full and new moon opportunities to work to pierce through these veils, as this ancient alchemical drawing, etching indicates. We need, as we read here, we need to develop group awareness to understand the astrology of the future. This will unfold in the Aquarian age. Astrology is going to be one of the key sciences of the Aquarian age. And so it behooves us all to begin, and obviously all of you, all of us, are interested in esoteric astrology or we wouldn't be here. So it's going to be one of the key sciences, and of course it includes the study of the 7 rays. And so we're helping to align ourselves with this new incoming astrology by doing our study in our own lives, by attempting to become aware of the energies that are available each month, and by coming together as a group. So this is a chart which is interesting. At first when I looked at it, it seemed very, very mysterious. But when you actually look at it, it's not that difficult. It just basically states in symbolic form, which is what astrology is all about, the science of symbols. It just gives us the transmission of energy. Unfortunately, this is the transmission for the first ray energy, so we could have used this last month when we were working with the energy of the constellation Leo. I do believe that in the books he gives the transmission for the second ray energy in symbolic form like this, in diagram form, but I didn't have the time to get that one, so we'll just work with this one because it's similar. So here we start with one of the stars in the Great Bear, and at this month with the energy of Virgo, we're working primarily with the second ray star. So the energies pour in from this great ray, from great and distant places, through the star in the Great Bear, which corresponds to the second ray, and then the energy pours through 3 constellations each month. This is the case. So in the case of Virgo, in the case of the second ray, the 3 constellations are Virgo, which is the primary transmitter for humanity at this time of second ray energy, Virgo, and then Gemini. But I do believe the Tibetan hints that during each month, although the primary influence of the ray energy pours through one sign, I believe that the polar opposite of that sign is the primary constellations through which the energy of that ray pours for the disciples and initiates of the world. So therefore, in the case of the second ray, I believe that is during the Pisces full moon. That's when the disciples and initiates really can focus most fully the second ray energy. Then the energy of those three constellations, again, Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini, pour through the sun, and particularly through the heart of the sun, which the Tibetan says is a transforming agent. And then that energy pours through the sacred planets, which are associated with those constellations. And in the case of Virgo, that would be Jupiter. It's the hierarchical ruler of Virgo, Mercury, and the moon, which is a non-sacred planet. Those are the three rulers of Virgo. And then we'd work with the rulers of Pisces and the rulers of Gemini. And then in the case of the transfiguring, the energy flows through the non-sacred planets. So in this case, it would flow through Mercury, the sacred planet of ruling Virgo, and then would pour through the moon. But in the case of Virgo, as you probably know, the Tibetan does tell us that the moon veils Vulcan here, the first ray sacred planet. And if you see the position of Vulcan, the way the Tibetan positions it, you can see the power of Vulcan as it is transmitted to the earth. It's the only planet, not the only planet, no, excuse me. It's one of the three planets whose energy is directly transmitted and does not have to go through one of the non-sacred planets. But in the way that he depicts this, it seems that the influx of energy from Vulcan is more direct than from Uranus and Neptune. So there's something very powerful about this full moon opportunity wherein the moon veils Vulcan, the great fashioner of forms, and pours into our planet. He also says the moon veils Neptune. And so it seems to imply, and this is my understanding, that some disciples, because only disciples are in touch with the esoteric ruler, so some disciples will be more attuned to the energy from Vulcan, and others may be more attuned to the energy of Neptune. So if you are someone who's ruled by Virgo, either at the level of your sun sign or your rising sign, perhaps it would be your job to intuit. Are you more responsive to Vulcan, the fashioner of forms, the creator of forms, or Neptune, which is the more mystical, very spiritual influence? So, a few more thoughts here. One of the important means whereby we come to understand the signs and the planets is through a pondering of the symbol of the sign. And the Tibetan does tell us in the case of Virgo and the sign Scorpio, that as we come to understand the symbolism of these, what he calls triple signs, the whole meaning behind esoteric astrology will be unveiled to us. Because esoteric astrology is basically a very veiled science. That's why it's called the oldest and greatest of sciences, because it's a great mystery. And in order to unravel this mystery, we have to use our intuitive powers. And Virgo is certainly giving us the equipment to do that. Each month, the energies, we have to work with the energies available to us to bring in those qualities, not only if we're born under this sign or with this sign rising, but all of us, no matter what our sign, we have to work with the energies. That's our form of service to humanity. And so in the case of Virgo, we have to work with developing our intuition, developing our intuitive understanding of the part which we, in alignment with our group, can play in manifesting those forms through which that tiny aspect of the plan, which is our particular dharma to bring forward, can unfold. We have to use our minds. Virgo is very much related to the higher aspect of the mind and the lower aspect of the mind, working to build the bridge in consciousness between the higher and lower mind, whereby we can bring through, as I said, those forms which will be our contribution to allowing the energy of the intuition to filter out through those translucent forms. So this symbol, we develop the intuition through the pondering of symbols. This symbol to me, relates, as the Tibetan says, it's a triple sign. So the symbol itself is triple. Um, there's 1, 2, and then 3 parts to it, just like in the sign of Scorpio. So there's a great relationship between these two signs. Um, this sign contains very clearly, but perhaps not so clearly if you're not looking. Symbols are very clear when we're looking and things dawn on us. But if we're not looking, it's not so clear. But here is the symbol of Pisces really contained within Virgo. The picture of the fish, which we know was the ancient symbol used by the early Christians to represent someone who was a Christian, someone with whom the Christ life had become alive. And as we know, the keynote for Virgo from the esoteric perspective is Christ in you, the hope of glory. And when we use the term Christ in esotericism, we look at it as the name of an office, meaning the head of the hierarchy. And that aspect of that Christ life is found at the center of every atom of substance. And so to the extent that we all begin to awaken the dead lives within ourselves and with all the others whom we interact with within our environment, we become a bearer of this Christ life, an awakener of this Christ life. And that's really the key note of Virgo. So this is a time in our planetary zodiacal influences wherein this Christ life, which is certainly alive in all of us, can be stimulated and brought to greater livingness. And then, as I said, distributed within our environment through love, through the outpouring of love, we can stimulate this Christ principle in all we meet. Virgo is one of the feminine signs, along with Cancer and Pisces. So those 3 signs, we're told, form the feminine polarity with a great triangle, which is related to the mother aspect. The father aspect is formed by 3 signs as well: Leo, Libra, and Capricorn. So these are basic polarities. We know that the father aspect is related to will, related to Shambhala. So those 3 signs of Leo, Virgo, and Capricorn are signs of crisis, signs of will, signs of first ray energy. Whereas these 3 signs of the mother, again, Pisces, Virgo, and Cancer, are related to the more receptive energy, the energy more resonant with the mother aspect. So that's why they relate to that third aspect of the Pleiades, which is the mother aspect, the great cosmic mother, and the masculine signs related more to the great rishis of the Great Bear. So these are some simple thoughts of how we can just look at things from a very simple perspective. Femininity, receptivity, form, creation of form. These are all key qualities of Virgo. It's often related very much to, as I said, the feminine principle. It is, along with Cancer, the two most feminine signs, coming as we know from the previous solar system. They are the two oldest signs of the zodiacal wheel, a time when there was a matriarchy. So it's a time when we can perhaps reflect upon the role of the feminine aspect in our world, which is unfortunately still much maligned, misunderstood, and therefore feared. And if we don't think this to be true, well, all we have to do is look around at our media and the way in which women are depicted. So it's helpful during this month to cultivate the feminine aspects of ourselves. The quiet, take the time for the quiet receptivity. The Virgin is often depicted as blindfolded and silent. So these are reminders of the need during this time, amidst all of the outer activity, to withdraw within and cultivate that receptivity. There are other thoughts that could be shared. Perhaps the time is now for one closing passage from the Tibetan from the book Esoteric Psychology, Volume 2, under a very interesting section called The Urge to Creative Life, which I think relates very much to Virgo. It's a very creative sign. Its planetary rulers, the Moon and Mercury, are both along the fourth ray line. Therefore, it's very much related to the ability to create forms, which I said earlier will transmit the light. So this urge to the creative life is developed by the constant effort to render oneself sensitive to the world of significant realities and to produce those forms on the outer plane which will run true to the hidden impulse. This is done by the cultivation of the creative imagination. As yet, humanity knows little about this faculty latent in all people. A flash of light breaks through to the aspiring mind. A sense of unveiled splendor for a moment sweeps through the aspirant, tensed for revelation. A sudden realization of a color, a beauty, a wisdom, and a glory beyond words breaks out before the attuned consciousness of the artist in a high moment of applied intention, and life is then seen for a second as it essentially is. But the vision is gone, and the fervor departs, and the beauty fades out, and the man is left with a sense of bereavement, of loss, and yet with a certainty of knowledge and a desire to express that which he has contacted, such as has never been experienced before. He must recover that which he has seen. He must discover it to those who have not yet had his secret moment of revelation. He must express it in some form and reveal to others the realized significance behind the phenomenal appearance. So that's our task. And together as a group, perhaps, we can begin to create those new forms whereby we can express that inner beauty and reveal it to humanity who are struggling under the weight of the current impressions. So now let's take a moment to link up again with each other and with the worldwide group. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. Now let's link with humanity and its need, focusing in our physical and our etheric bodies and working with the planetary influence of Mercury, visualizing a golden light pouring in. Connecting with the earth and this planetary ajna center. Now let's link with the hierarchy, the world teacher at the center of hierarchy, imagining ourselves standing within the circle on the periphery of the great hierarchical meditation which is undergoing now. Using the energy of the moon, veiling Neptune, connecting with the planetary heart. Now extend our alignment to the highest head center, keeping our focus within hierarchy, imaginatively reach out to the center of Shambhala. Connecting with the second ray energy flowing in through that point. Hold the mind open and receptive to impression. Now we refocus our attention within the group mind while maintaining our focus upon the world teacher, the Christ. Ponder upon the esoteric keynote for Virgo. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Visualize an outpouring of the energy of love wisdom through all planes and states of consciousness, using the energy of indigo blue. focus the energy within the great ashram, sounding the affirmation of love. In the center of all love, I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Ponder upon the aspect of the plan that holds your present attention and see it as part of this great unfolding plan on our planet. Bring the energy down into a lighted ball of energy in the middle of the head and ponder the steps to be taken in your daily life. Distribution. Distributing the energies through the planetary etheric network of triangles. Through the centers of New York, London, Geneva, Darjeeling, Tokyo. Sounding the great invocation from the point of light within the mind of God. Let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth from the point of love within the heart of God. Let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. And I look forward to working with you again tomorrow and at the next new moon. Goodbye.